welcome to Paramecia, a One Piece Fancast where we discuss the latest chapter release and have different One Piece discussions every week. My name is John.
My name is Franz.
And today we're talking about chapter 882.
Beyond the Expectations of a Yonko.
First thing we should talk about, cover story, as always. Following the next people in the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, Ideo. Nothing really to discuss other than he's just shooting at people, and I guess next week we're gonna find out who he's actually like shooting at.
Yeah, it could be anyone at this rate, because most of the cover stories have been talking about just very isolated instances, like that are like tangentially related to other stuff.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how this one plays out. Because I thought the Bartolomeo one was like funny, and then at the very end he wanders into Shanks' territory. So who knows how this one could end up.
That's true. We'll find out eventually.
Yeah. So I mean, the chapter starts off with a freaking the chapter just starts like it holds no punches. It starts off with Katakuri using his new weapon called spear called Mogura or Mole, whichever translation you read, and he just like. It's so cool. He just like pumps his arm up, his mochi arm, and like twists it, and then it's like a Beyblade, dude. He just lets it rip, and it drills through everything. Like that's what I thought when I saw it. Like let it rip, dude. Yeah. It starts off with him, going after Luffy, and then it cuts to Brule, and Brule has a very interesting speech. I kind of want to delve into a little bit. She talks about her brother as being superhuman. Her brother Katakuri is a god. There's legends. The moment he was born, he stood up by himself and sat in a chair, and he falls asleep on a chair, and he never once lays on the ground. Like he's too good for the ground.
Boss baby.
Yeah. He's Katakuri's boss baby. He's too good for the ground, and he never lays on the ground. And I don't know. That's Luffy's reaction was funny, but that stuck out to me because like that's the same thing that Booger Man said about Doflamingo. He's like, Dofi's a celestial dragon. He never kneels to anybody, and Luffy beat the shit out of him and made him kneel. So, like, I don't know. I'm taking it personally as some kind of foreshadowing that Luffy's gonna maybe best Katakuri. But
yeah, no, it sounds about right. Like that's usually how Oda sets up foreshadowing, and He's always really good about it, but in these special instances, he's like really like he's telegraphing this.
Yeah,
because it's gonna happen soon.
Yeah, and I feel like we've gotten so much of Katakuri like beating the shit out of Luffy that it's about time.
It's time for the turntables.
Yeah. Oh my god.
So I want to talk about Nut Island.
Yeah, Nut Island, dude.
It's basically just the Five Guys, if we're being honest.
She's picking up some free peanuts for the ride.
She's getting that like bag full of like French fries because it's never in the cup.
Dude, basically. There's gonna be one person that listens to this that doesn't know what Five Guys is. What the fuck? Like,
what is this place with peanuts everywhere? I can't go in because I have an allergy and will die instantly of anaphylactic shock.
Basically, yeah. No, Nut Island.
It's the whole thing about Nut Island is that it's really cool to see that Oda is sticking to the whole thing that she is enraged. She is out of her mind. Literally the only thing she can think of is food, and she'll go get anything that will satiate that appetite. And so like the way it's being used as a written device, Oda is stalling for the Straw Hats.
Yeah.
And while sometimes that could be like a very cheap kind of thing to do, Oda does it pretty well. Like he's always stuck to it. She did that on Elbath. She's been doing that all around Whole Cake Island, like consistently.
Yeah, I think ever since we met her, she kind of had like, he's kind of been throwing that in. He's like been throwing it in there, like kind of like gently spicing us up to the idea. Like, oh, she gets kind of irritated when she's hungry, and then now we know that like she goes batshit insane.
Yeah, no, it's she goes absolute berserk, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it. And it's a very interesting dynamic to this whole, like, how are they gonna take down a Yonko? Because it's not like she's the first one they've encountered, and it's kind of really showing that all of them have more than a few loose screws in a lot of ways. I mean, like, Kaido is sitting there and he's just like, "Oh boy, how am I gonna end my life today?"
Yeah. And then he turns around and gets drunk and he's like, "You play your fucking pirate games, will ya?" And he like has kid beaten up in a jail cell. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. The Nut Island is a device to give, you know, the Straw Hats and everybody their time to sort of, you know, meet up, and it gives the reader a sense of like relief in a way, because like we know that, oh, like she's not going to end up where they are immediately because she has to go to Nut Island. Like we know that now, so it kind of gives us a chance to focus on every other character and where they're going. And I also agree that like this is kind of like this saga's called Versus the Four Yonko Saga, but I believe the question right now, in my opinion, isn't how are they gonna beat Big Mom. I think it's how are they gonna get out of her territory? Like, how are they gonna outsmart her and leave? Because I mean, Luffy himself told her, like, to her face, he's like, "Oh, like after I beat Kaido, I'm coming after you." So
true, yeah. Like it Luffy wants to take a rain check on this.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
This was never their goal to like take down Big Mom. Like,
Yeah.
if you remember when this arc started, I was kind of hopeful that they would, like, you know, team up and see what was up, kind of like a temporary kind of thing, but that's clearly foregone and like thrown out the window. But they just came in as an extraction to like it was an extraction mission. They needed to get Sanji out, and they did. So they're coming out.
Yeah, they're getting the fuck out of here, which I definitely agree with. It's not the smartest. I mean, Luffy's having such trouble with Katakuri right now, so it's not the smartest thing to keep everybody in trouble like that.
Yeah, especially with like half their usual crew.
Yeah. Speaking of Katakuri, I want to bring up as the chapter progresses, we get more and more, like, I think this is the bulkiest this is the chapter that we've had the most of Luffy versus Katakuri in, I feel, because it felt like this chapter, it kept cutting back to it, and I'm not complaining, I love it, but you know, when they start fighting a lot, we see Luffy dodging his attacks constantly, and there's a line that I know caught your eye, and it caught my eye as well, where Katakuri says, "People don't dodge my attacks this much. It's stressing me out." And Oda draws like the lines on his face, like the, you know, classic anime anger lines on his face. Like, he is
pissed.
Yeah, he's mad.
Like the whole fact that he's being stressed out right now. I want to know, like, because Luffy has armament, conquers, and observation haki, but we don't necessarily see him use it all the time, and I feel like that's what's going into play right now, like, with him dodging as much as he can. It's probably the same thing that happened with Sanji, that, you know, his observation haki that's his shtick.
Yeah,
so he was able to get out of the way of the mochi bullets and stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I believe it was in an SBS, don't crucify me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Oda confirmed at one point each of the Straw Hats, like, affinity for a certain type of haki. Oh. Or at least the big three. And I remember Sanji's being observation haki. Zoro's was definitely armament haki. And there was also a throwaway line somewhere where Luffy, I forget, I think it was in Dressrosa, where Luffy says his armament haki isn't as powerful as Zoro's. Or, like, it isn't as strong. And then obviously Luffy's affinity is for conquering King's haki. But even still, with you know, like, Sanji's affinity being observation haki, we knew he was, like, you know, buff as fuck in that wheelhouse. So when he did it, we were all kind of surprised, but it was more of like a, like, fuck yeah, like, Sanji, like Like, yeah, like, take that. Like, your observation haki can see the future. Like, Sanji's our badass. Like, he's gonna beat you. But in this instance with Luffy, I feel like I feel like this is the first time we've seen Luffy's observation haki like really in effect, like you said. Like he we don't really see him using it as much as some of the other Straw Hats. Like even Usopp, we see him use it way more.
Yeah.
But it's definitely nothing to sleep on, his observation haki, and it's very apparent because Katakuri is getting pissed. Like so pissed that he uses his awakening because he's trying to finish this. Like,
yeah, and it's a good thing that Oda sat down and was like explicitly said like, he's awakened, guys. You can stop arguing about this.
Guys, he's fucking awakened. Like, yeah, like, yeah. I was very glad that he did that. Like, we could all, I think everybody, every comment I saw, everybody was pretty much calling it. Like, if you watch everything Katakuri's done in this fight, like, he's always stomping around, turning the ground to mochi. Like, he's doing, stuff that only an awakened Devil Fruit user would be able to do, but they never explicitly stated it. And because we've only known his power for such a short amount of time, I feel like some people were still kind of confused. Like, well, maybe that's his power? Like, like...
Yeah, true. Like, Paramecia is still a very, like, loose kind of category.
Yeah. Very loosely defined parameters for Paramecia.
For fucking real.
But I am glad that he used used awakening, and I'm glad that he said, like, of course, like, I am awakened. And then directly after that, another thing I wanted to talk about is Luffy. Well, okay, Katakuri, like, sees the future, and he says, Gear 4th, like, I'm intrigued. So he sees Luffy saying, activating Gear 4th. The thing that caught my eye, if you're on this page, is that, so every time Luffy's activated Gear 4th, when he bites down on his arm has armament haki on it. Like, every single time he's done it.
Oh, shit.
And this time, it doesn't. Like, he bites into his bare arm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want to say this means that maybe the theories might be true, and we're going to get a new form of Gear 4th. Maybe one that, like, conserves haki. Because I feel like if he goes into like Bound Man or Tank Man right now, not even arguing about the effectiveness of them against Katakuri, but like if he goes into those and he doesn't make it, he's done because he's trapped in the mirror worlds. The 10-minute timeout afterwards, like he's gonna die if he does that. So I want to think that this wasn't Oda messing up and it was like done on purpose. I want to say that Luffy's busting out like a new Gear 4th that somehow conserves haki in some strange way.
Yeah, and like the whole thing is that like the way he's reacting to Gear 4th, like he says he's intrigued, but like he still is sitting there like pissed to all fucking hell. Cause like
yeah.
If it were Bound Man or Tank Man, like, I feel like he wouldn't, like, necessarily react like that due to the fact that, like, it's just, like, he'd just be like, oh, like, he gets bigger, he's a strong man now, like, whatever. Yeah. But if he's pissed, it's probably for some other reason. Yeah. Because, like, right now, Luffy's ensnared in all the mochi and all that shit. Like, he's probably getting out, and Lord knows how.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because I want to see if whatever form of Gear 4th that Luffy's busting out, if it's strong enough to beat Katakuri, because, I mean, Katakuri, I think, is Luffy's probably, like, I think at this point, like, probably Luffy's strongest opponent, other than maybe the, admirals and shit, but,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Strongest opponent, at least in the New World.
And like, another thing about Katakuri is, like, the way his powers work and the way he's been fighting Luffy specifically is very like one-on-one, acting almost like a foil to Luffy. Yeah. In that like Luffy was doing his like stamp moves and everything, and Katakuri was like, hey, that's pretty cool. Want to see me do it? Yeah. And he just like fucked him up.
The way I saw it was This is Luffy versus Katakuri is a mirror match. Like they're playing the same character and they have the same moves. Like
No, what's going on is that Luffy is Kakion and Luffy's Kakion and Katakuri. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what's going on.
They have the same normals. They have they share specials. It's a mirror match. That's like the perfect way to describe this fight.
Talk about a fucking shot in the dark reference.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. This fight's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. I guess moving on from there, directly after the whole page with the awakening and Gear Forth truth bombs dropped on us, we go to Sweet City, and we have Tomago, Peckham's, and oh man, I forget this guy's name. Montdor.
Yeah, Montdor. There we go.
We have all of them, and they're sitting there, and they're talking about the Straw Hats.
Yeah, they start with talking about Pedro, and you see Tomago go from he called Pedro a bitch for wanting to live his life way back when the last time he pulled this shit, and then now he's putting respect on Pedro's name right now.
Yeah, I liked when Tomago was talking about Pedro, and he says 5 years ago, he was begging on it. He was crying and begging to be spared. Mm-hmm. And to see a man who we know did that, lay his life on the line for the Straw Hats, that says something. And Tomago says, I believe we severely underestimated Straw Hat Luffy. And I have to agree, because now he's putting respect on their name, because
he's seeing everything that happened, and he knows that they're directly related to absolutely everything. And Montdor is sitting there man, they didn't do all this shit, and Tomago's oh yeah, they did, and
we're next to an upside down castle. Are you kidding me?
And to Montdor's credit, they didn't explicitly it wasn't planned out that they were gonna fucking put the bombs in the goddamn treasure chest and that it was gonna fall off and destroy an entire castle. They didn't call that shit.
Look, if we're being honest, if we're being honest, to Montdor's credit, that was actually CP0 that pushed the bomb over and blew up the castle. So
but otherwise, it's still Tomago's still right, and he's just yeah.
Tomago's just ever since they've appeared, there's been a lot of unexpected accidents, and he has a line. The translation I read was, "The proud ruler soon loses his crown." And I really like that, because soon after he was nope, we're dispatching our most powerful ships to the furthest reach of our territory. We're not letting them escape. And I don't know, I just liked the scene, because it harkened back to, if you remember, I think it was the previous chapter, or maybe the chapter before that, when it's right when the Straw Hats are crying about Pedro's death, and Jinbei has a speech, and he says, Pedro died to give us a second chance. And then he tells them, you have to realize, for us, we're just stumbling by, we're barely trying to make it because they're beating us. And he goes, but from their point of view, we've destroyed everything they know. He's that, they were unbeatable, and we busted their wedding. They're an unstoppable force in their eyes, and we've been able to do all of this. They're the losers if they don't start to realize what's going on. They're gonna end up the losers. And I really like that that Tomago is the one to actually he gets it now. He's all right, they're yes, we're a Yonko's pirate crew, but we can't get complacent. If we get complacent now, this dude could beat us. I really like that Tomago's actually putting some respect on their names.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a common theme with the Yonkos, not giving any sort of respect to the supernovas. I mean, Kaido hasn't respected the supernovas so far. But, it's probably going to be a reoccurring theme in that, all of these Yonko are going to, quote unquote, fall from grace. And it's... I don't know. I really like this theme, because it's just move the fuck out of the way. New kids on the block.
I like it, and I love the setup. Like, I feel like this has been set up by Oda since the supernovas were introduced, because when he introduces the supernovas and the worst generation, like, you know, the fact that they have the nickname called the worst generation, like it already sets the precedent that, like, you know, like the ones in power right now, like, despise them. But when you think about it, it's like, why do they despise them? It's because some of them probably see something to fear in them. Like, they see them as, like, you know, the next up and coming force. Like, so I think it's really, really sick that, like, the supernova are finally getting their just dues.
Yeah. Immediately after this whole realization of Tomago, they also realize that the sea slugs are not detecting anything. So you wanted to talk about that because you have some shit.
Yeah. So the sea slugs, when we first started this arc, like the Big Mom Whole Cake Island infiltration arc, when we first started this arc, we learned about the sea slugs, like, right from the beginning. Like, when they were getting to the main island in Whole Cake Island that Pudding sent them on, if you remember, they met up halfway there with Reiju and Yonji, and they talked about, they were like, oh, like, Yonji and Reiju specify, like, they stated very clearly there, and I think they showed the artwork of them too. He was like, they were like, oh, you know, you have to be careful, like, like, no ship can pass here unless it's, like, confirmed that, like, if the Yonko doesn't authorize your passage here, like, you're getting shot down immediately, because the sea slugs they have, like, cover the entire sea floor. And the fact that they're not responding, I want to believe, ties in to a couple of chapters ago when Brook and Chopper are in the submarine getting to the Thousand Sunny, and Chopper's looking at the window and he's like, oh, a mermaid. And then he's like, oh, wait, no, that's a merman. Or he says, no, that's a man, I'm sorry. And then Brook, after that, is like, you know, completely dismissive, like, oh, I don't care, you tricked me, I thought it was a hot girl. And then Chopper keeps talking and he says, what is he doing? Is he fishing? And it just kind of ends. And I want to believe that's Aladdin. I want to believe that's Aladdin and the rest of the Sun Pirates, because before they left, like, remember, they healed up Peckham's. And before they left, they said, we have one more thing to do, and we're going. And Peckham's is like, oh, you're really going to betray Big Mom like that? And then Peckham's left in a huff and puff.
Oh, that's true.
They stated they had one more thing to do, and I want to say, if Aladdin knew and was, like, okay with Jinbei joining the Straw Hats, the last thing he would do would be like, okay, we're leaving because we don't want to get fucked by Big Mom, but we're going to leave a giant exit for them. Like, we're going to make sure they actually make it out.
That would definitely be the kind of thing that the Sun Pirates would do for Jinbei after everything that he's done for them.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, this whole idea gets me really excited to see Aladdin again, because I feel like after this arc it'll be a minute since we see him again. Yeah. But also to see the best Charlotte daughter.
Oh yeah, one of the top tier Charlotte daughters. She's like, I don't care about Big Mom, I love Aladdin. I'm like, yeah,
I'm a shark that's like 8 feet long.
Yeah,
objectively bigger than everyone else. Hell yeah, best Charlotte daughter.
Honestly, yeah, no, I feel you. This is getting me excited because I always loved the Fishmen. Like, I don't know, Fishman Island. I really liked that arc for, I don't know, just seeing all the Fishman pirates, seeing, you know, the message that it was. But I don't know, some people debate it went on too long. Whatever. I really liked it, but I really enjoy the Fishman characters, like whenever they bring them up. And I feel like getting to see Aladdin in this arc was sick, and the rest of the Sun Pirates. But also getting to see Aladdin's interactions with Jinbei was really cool, because we finally get to see, like, all right, like, this is how they interact as a pirate crew. And I feel like even though Jinbei is, like, leaving the Sun Pirates because he's joining the Straw Hats, and, like, even though Aladdin knows that, I do feel that no matter what, like, I feel like Aladdin, even though they didn't exchange sake cups, like, Aladdin is part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Like, like the Sun Pirates, they're homies.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Yeah, just out of proxy, like, our dad is in, so we're in, I guess.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, the sea slugs, you know, they're not responding. And because they're not responding, we get a cut straight to Capone's ship, Nostra Castello, which in Italian means our castle, or maybe in Spanish too.
No. It's in
Italian, right?
And
okay, yeah,
man, the design for that castle is chef kiss.
Yeah, kiss his fingertips. Like it's great. I love the tank treads on the side, like above the water.
Exactly, which kind of makes me think, like, is the ship also Capone in some kind of like weird like transformer state or something, or is that just like some deliberate detail that they were like, yeah, no, our ship, it has wood, you're making it out of wood, just shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
It's made out of cobblestone.
Yeah, I want to believe that it's the latter, and I want to believe that that was the one thing Capone would not budge on. Like he was budging, like, you know, when they're designing his ship, the shipwright was like, all right, like, well, I added another sail because you needed another one for like wind resistance and draft and shit. And he's like, yeah, okay. And I wanted to talk to you about taking off these tank treads. He's like, nope, they're not coming off. They're not coming off.
The glasses ain't coming off.
Yeah. Yeah, he pulled a Hideki Kamiya with Bayonetta. Like, they're not coming off. Like, I don't care what you say. Yeah, I really like his ship's design, and yeah, because of the sea slugs not being able to respond to any of the Denden Mushi, Capone and the Fire Tank Pirates are using this to their advantage, and they're rendezvousing at Cacao Island to pick up Capone's loving wife. And then after that, the end of the chapter, the final thing we get is at the end of that page, Oda hits us with a little bamboozle. He hits us with a little page turn bamboozle. He's like,
he got me. He got me for real.
Yeah, you know, reporting from Germa's ship Nustort, and he's like, brother, what's the situation? And then you hear the Charlotte brother saying, our 10,000 strong force decimated them. The entire country is in shambles. And then, like, so already I'm like, all right, like, there's no, like, all right, I knew Judge was a bitch, but are you serious? Like, they all got taken out?
Yeah, exactly. They were all powerhouses.
And then turn the page, bamboozle confirmed. We get the great, like, man, my favorite, like, double page spread of this chapter, which had a lot. I was surprised,
yeah, it did.
But like this, I don't even, like, dude, the Germa 66 are so badass. Like, Judge is a bitch, but the other four are so badass. Like they're standing on top of a pile of, like, what I assume are dead or just unconscious, like, you know, Charlotte family soldiers, and Niji is, I don't know if I want to say this is like some kind of power of Niji.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because I would like to think that Montdor would know his own brother's voice and would be able to tell if somebody was bamboozling him. But yeah, he's like holding the Charlotte family, like, brother by the throat. Like, he's touching him and holding him by the throat.
Yeah.
And then he's talking through the Charlotte Denden Mushi and telling that, like, he's tricking them, like, oh, like, you know, they're barely recognizable, like, we defeated them, and of course we didn't defeat their clone army, like, everything's. And then, of course, you know, after that he uses that to be like, oh, by the way, what happened to the Straw Hats? And then you know, Montdor just tells them straight up, because he doesn't know anything, and Yonji's kind of cracking up, like, in the background, like, dude, like, I can't believe they're this dumb.
Yonji with the got him.
Yeah, Yonji got him. And then classic Ichiji is move out, ready the ships. Like they're already, you know, Germa takes care of one problem and they're already on the next one. Like,
hey, something I just realized on this 2-page spread. You had mentioned before that Panda Man is there as like a Where's Waldo thing.
Yeah.
But I found something a little more if you look at the skull on the, like, castle spire, like, in the largest panel of the 2-page spread.
Okay, yeah.
The skull has a 69 on it.
Got him. Yo, it does.
Oda knows, man. Like, I would have figured,
Dude.
like, oh, that'd be cool if they, like, I looked at it and my mind was like, oh, that's cool that they're, like, Jolly Roger or like, whatever. Their insignia is, like, a skull with, like, 2 sixes as eyes. And then I look at it and I'm like, son of a bitch.
It's no longer Germa 66. I want the double page spread where it says Germa 66. I just want to Photoshop the 6 upside down, Germa 69. Like,
It was nice. Oh my god. Yeah, no, like all the Germa people, they're all Chads, and it's great.
every single okay, other than Judge. I
Okay.
want to from this podcast onwards, I just want to clarify something as like a podcast rule number 74 of the Paramecia Fancast. If
Yeah.
I ever mention the Vinsmokes or like the Germa and talk about how badass they are, it is always to be assumed, unless otherwise stated, that I'm excluding Judge because Judge is a bitch. Like,
Judge is
Judge is a bitch, and he's not Germa. He's the dad, but he's not Germa. He's not, look at him. I don't see him anywhere in this 2-page spread. Do you?
he's dead. He's in the pile too.
Yeah, honestly, God, Judge sucks. Germa's cool. The Vinsmoke family is sick. I'm glad that we're getting this because this means that like we're going to see Germa again. Like the arc's not gonna end without us seeing Germa interaction again.
Yeah, and we're gonna actually be able to see all of their like powers in action, because we did get to see Reiju and was it Yonji that was there? I don't remember.
Yeah, Reiju and Yonji at the start of the arc, and then
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
to see Niji's a bit when he
Oh,
because Sanji fought
that's
Niji
true.
when Niji beat up the chef that Sanji like protected. Sanji went to go confront them, and then we saw a couple actually of Niji's moves. Like we know he has like electric moves, and he's like the color blue, I think.
Yeah, but like now we're gonna actually we're gonna see them at their full capacity. We're gonna see them flex,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm really excited for that.
Yes, when I saw this page, when I got bamboozled by Oda, I got excited immediately because I knew that this meant that by the end of this arc, we're gonna get them appearing with the whole squad again, like the Straw Hats. They're gonna meet up with Sanji, and I'm hoping, like, I part of me still wants in Ichiji and Sanji confrontation of some kind,
Yeah,
but with seeing this, with the hope that they're going to sit to help Sanji escape, and also like in doing that get to beat up the Big Mom family who was like turned out was gonna double cross them.
trying to fuck them
Yeah,
up.
I'm hoping that this means if we don't get an Ichiji versus Sanji fight, I hope we get an Ichiji and Sanji team up, because I feel like that would be like if we
That
get
would
if
be
we get
nuts.
Sanji fighting alongside the Vinsmoke family. Like, I feel like that would put to bed everybody. Like, oh, like, Sanji's getting jobbed in this arc. Like, come on. He dodged Katakuri's future vision. Like, I don't think he's getting I don't think he's getting jobbed.
Yeah, no, Sanji is super underrated. But what you had mentioned that like that something that would be likely to happen would be like Sanji and Ichiji like fighting together and everything. That brings up something that I want to ask. Like I do want to discuss about Germa in a very broad kind of sense. And one of the things I do want to speculate is we mentioned that the Aladdin pirates have a possibility of becoming a part of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. Do you think the Germa would be on that same page?
Yeah.
Because I want to say no so far.
Yeah.
But man, if Oda gave me that shit.
I want to say no initially. I want to say only because of Sanji's speech to Judge at the end. You know, when Sanji
Yeah.
appeared like a bamf on the table smoking, and you could see his face, he's like, y'all are fucking pathetic. And he frees them all. And then he tells Judge, like, it's poetry. Fucking Oda is a poet. He tells Judge the same exact words that Judge told him when Sanji left. He says, you know, if the world ever asks you, like, you're not my family. Like, you're dead to me. Like
That
and
it's so sick to me.
and
Yeah.
and Judge agreed. Judge was like, all right. And then, you know, he tells the Germa that, like, they're gonna help the Straw Hats and the Fire Tank Pirates escape. So I don't think they're gonna team up. Like, I don't think they're gonna join the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, like, explicitly. But I don't believe that they're going to become, like, enemies. Like, if, you know, I think it's ridiculous to say that at the end, like, during the fucking Throne Wars, like, when all of that's going on, and, like, Blackbeard pirates versus, like, Supernova and everybody, like, I highly doubt that Germa would be like, no, we're not gonna help you. Like, if they're there, they would definitely lend a hand. I just don't think that they're explicitly gonna join. I don't think they're explicitly going to state aside. Like, I don't think they're gonna say, like, yeah, we as the Germa Kingdom are with Straw Hat Luffy. Like, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah,
but I do believe that, like, when it comes down to the nut cut, like, they're gonna be homies.
How much of a, like, power play would it be, like, when shit goes down at the end of the line and everything's going to hell? Like, you see Luffy just, someone in the Straw Hat crew, but for intents and purposes, Luffy right now just pulls up a Den Mushi and is like, brim, brim, and it's like, oh, who are you calling? And it's just like, oh, no big deal, no big deal. And then, like, Germa shows up. These people that are basically legends to most of the entire world. Like, just a kind of fantasy. They're basically super fucking Sentai, except that, oh, surprise, they're fucking real. Like, what a fucking power play. Like, oh, hey, you grew up, like, reading comics about these guys. They're real, and they're about to kick your shit in.
Yeah, I honestly, I believe that will happen at some point. Like, Luffy or Sanji, somebody at some point way down the line, like, when there's a big ass, like, you know, group fight, I feel like it would be one of them to call Germa. Like, it might be Sanji, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that.
To call them, because I feel like at that point it would be one of those things where he's like, I'm calling you, but, like, not for me. Like, I need you to help, like, the man who's gonna become Pirate King. It's gonna be one of those.
I'm not gonna like it.
Yeah.
But I need you, and right now.
Yeah. And, man, you know, like, oh, these guys, Germa is so sick. Like, I ever since their introduction, I love, like, the Power Ranger, like, Sentai vibe that, like, they are Super so Sentai. Good. It's so great.
It's written, like, pretty well in the sense that, like, so Akira Toriyama did that in Dragon Ball with Gohan being, like, I don't remember his name, Saiyaman or something.
The Great Saiyaman, yeah. Even before that, with the Ginyu Force.
Oh,
their name and their Japanese name was, like, the Toku Sentai or something like that, and they had the theme song.
Yeah. Cause like, Sentai basically means, like, not, like, war group or some shit, but, like, basically, like, a fighting force.
Yeah.
To paraphrase it. And, like, I don't know, it's really cool to see the whole, like, Sentai concept being crossed over, and not really in a cheesy parody way. It's being, like, brought over in a very kind of, like, hey, don't fuck with these guys because they're basically, like, the Secret Service of the entire world, except they don't listen to anyone but themselves.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I really like that. Like you said, like, they weren't brought up for parody, because there's a lot of anime and manga that'll show, like, they'll have their Super Sentai episode, or they'll have their Super Sentai characters. Like, I mean, you know, again, the Ginyu Force was like that. Like, they were a serious threat, but at the end of the day, they were a punchline for, like, oh, they're Frieza's fighting force that goes across the galaxy. And then it's like they play the stupid theme song, and they're, like, flashing their butts and, like, doing dumb dance moves and poses. Like, they were.
Welcome to
Akira
Paramecia,
Toriyama.
Our Dragon Ball Fancast. Yeah. Do you remember Apple?
Do not start with Apple. Like, do not start. Do not bring up Apple. Like, Apple, nobody fucking knew Apple until he was playable in Tenkaichi 3, and even then he wasn't good.
he's literally just some green booger that like Frieza decided to hire. Frieza didn't even hire him. Like HR was like on vacation, and someone was just like, well, shit. I mean, I don't know how to do this job. I'll hire whoever the fuck.
Hire this guy named Apul. Oh my god. Yeah, no, but I really like that they're playing up this Super Sentai vibe in like the cool kind of way. Like, yeah, they're Super Sentai and they're gonna kick your ass. Like they're sick.
I feel like it's also a pretty good like marketing kind of thing, because like manga and anime like they make money sometimes by like selling licensing out to like modeling companies that then make figures and all that kind of stuff. Give me some good ass Super Sentai-esque like belts and like gadgets and kind of shit, because like that's their shtick. Like they've got gadgets that do things. Like, give me that. I'm an adult. I want a fucking pair of blue headphones or whatever, and have some crazy ass eyebrows.
They should make for retail and commercial sale the GERMA patented head press that Yonji used to fix his face. I want that.
Give me that shit. Yeah. No, like all in all, I feel like they'll be pretty popular characters once it really hits the anime and everything. The kids will probably love it because, like, you know, everyone loves Sentai, especially kids.
Yeah, especially me. No, like
a kid.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel you. As soon as the anime hits this point, like, because the anime, I think they barely passed they barely had the episode of Sanji versus Luffy, and I think they're like I think they're like an episode or so past that now. But I definitely feel like once it hits the actual tea party and, like, you know, the escape and shit, once they animate that 2-page spread of GERMA as the power, like the GERMA 66 Power Rangers with like that sick ass Oda box, like that's gonna, because right now in the anime, all everybody knows about the Vinsmokes is like, oh my god, like these characters are assholes. Like the two things everybody knows is, oh my god, these characters are assholes, and hey, is that Sasuke's voice actor? that's really what everybody knows the Vinsmoke family for right now. Like that's all we've seen is them being assholes up until this point, other than my sweet baby Reiju, may she be protected forever. But man, when it hits the tea party and we see Sanji, you know, verbally beat the shit out of Judge, and then we see the 2-page spread of them getting their gear back, and it's like GERMA 66, and it's like the Sentai explosions and shit. Oh man, I feel like that's when their popularity is gonna fucking skyrocket. Like,
it's going to be ridiculous. Like they're not as far in the anime as you might think. Tomorrow's gonna be episode 810, if I'm not being dumb.
Yeah.
And where they're at right now is Cracker just got defeated.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's
okay. So yeah, they're getting there. They're chugging along.
yeah. Like they're making good progress, but like, man, we know a lot of people that are strictly anime only and everything, and I kind of get it, but it's hard to talk about some
manga
shit.
Master Race.
Exactly. I don't know. I just can't wait.
Yeah, it's wait. I can't wait for the anime only watchers to be able to see that, because like, I don't know, certain points in the anime I will. So I'll give the anime its due. For as much as I dislike Toei Animation for, like, you know, their penny budget, I some of their, when they go all out, they actually do. They, you know, they bring it when they go all out. So I'm excited to see
Unhinged is good.
Yeah, Toei with the weighted training clothes off is ridiculous. Toei with the weighted training clothes, the weighted budget clothes on is
Dragon Ball Z
episode 3 of episode 3 of Dragon Ball Super. That's,
oh god,
that's when they have the weighted training clothes on and they're worried about the budget.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. These Germa moving forward in the series, I feel like the Germa are gonna play. Like we might not see them for a while after this, but I feel like they will come back and they will play a pretty big role. If not story wise, because we've already kind of gotten their story. I don't see how they could progress it, but they're definitely gonna come. They're definitely gonna come back and they're gonna have some sick fights. Like that much I know for sure. Alright, guys, that is going to wrap up Paramecia this week. One Piece is not on break next week, so we will be back with Chapter 883 discussion. This week's Theory of the Week is as follows. Trafalgar Law is going to use Edo Tensei to bring Goldie Roger back from the dead.
Son of a bitch.
Thank you, guys, and enjoy the rest of your week.
I fucking hate this.
Thank you guys, and fucking kill me.